Okay, good morning, everybody. So today we'll continue the discussion about functions. All right. So for those of you who haven't seen the recording of meeting 20 from section H, which was uploaded yesterday, late yesterday afternoon yung klase namin. So I encourage you to watch that recording first because I will not be repeating the things that we discussed yesterday, and this will just be a continuation of that. So parang nasa middle one-third na kami nung module for week 12, all right? So, or which is actually study guide for week number 11 kasi 1 week delay nga tayo. So yeah, I suggest you watch the recording. It's already in Canvas, so yung link nandun na. And then yeah, kasi today ipagpapatuloy ko na lang yung discussion kasi nga holiday nung Tuesday, so we were not able to meet. Tapos I want to keep na magkasabay pa rin yung dalawang sections. So instead of a reading assignment, panoorin nyo na lang yung video kahapon. All right? So though I think you can still follow what will be discussed today, even if you haven't watched the recording yet. But I think it's better to watch that recording first before joining the meeting now. Kasi baka ma-lost kayo sa definition of function and so on. But if you have already met functions from your algebra classes, then you will be good, I think. But before we continue, reminder, deadline mamayang bago maghating gabi ng problem set number 2. How was it, guys? I hope you are almost done, if not already done. Yeah, babaunin ko yung yung pagche-check ng problem sets nyo sa trip ko tomorrow to till Tuesday. So I guess I already mentioned that I will be on leave. I don't know kung na-mention ko na dun sa section T, but I'll be on leave starting tomorrow until Wednesday morning. So that means I won't be able to meet you on Tuesday. So instead, I will again ask you to watch the recording of Section H's um, discussion on Wednesday, 5:30 to 6:30. Those in Section T can also join us live from 5:30 to 6:30 on Wednesday. Otherwise, please watch the recording para tuloy-tuloy na rin yung discussion pagdating natin ng Thursday. So wala tayong meeting on Tuesday. And again, instead, please watch the recording that will be uploaded sometime Wednesday night, right? Or you can join us live nga 5:30 to 6:30 on Wednesday. Then hopefully, while I am on my leave, yeah, full disclosure, vacation leave siya, long overdue vacation leave. So babaunin ko pa rin yung problem sets nyo and I'll try to grade problems 2.1 and 2.2, and then your laboratory instructors will check problem set 2.3. Okay. So moving on, we will be talking more about sets today, specifically some of their properties. If possible, we'll also talk about inverses and composites. Right, pero the idea is the gist of the discussion last time is we define what a function is. We say f is a function from a set x to a set y, if and only if the domain, all right. So pagka sinulat natin na ganito, ibig sabihin si little f I understood na to be a function. The idea here is it would be a function if and only if the domain of f is equal to x. So dapat lahat ng elements ni capital X ay nag-serve as a first component in the set of older pairs, right? And okay, so basically, I should mention this mentioned here that f is a subset of x cross y. Kasi dapat relation siya muna. So a function is a relation satisfying two different things, right? Remember, para maging relation, dapat subset siya ng x cross y. So ano yung kailangan nating idagdag sa pagiging relation ni little f para maging isa siyang function? Una, ang domain niya dapat ay si capital X, meaning all elements of X served as a first component. Alright? Kasi ang domain ng isang relation ay lahat na nag-serve na first component. Okay? Now, sa functions, i-require natin yung first set to be our domain. Okay? Then aside from that, we will also require that no two ordered pairs have the same first component. Or in other words, every element of capital X must be mapped to exactly one element of capital Y. Meaning, if X comma Y and X comma Z are in the relation F, then X must be then Y must be equal to Z. Kasi sa function, dapat hindi nauulit yung mga first components. Pag nag-serve na siya as a first component, dapat wala nang ibang ordered pairs na merong first component na ganon. Alright? Kasi nga, no two ordered pairs have the same first component, or equivalently, you can say that every element of the domain is mapped to exactly one element of the codomain. So by the way, X is called the domain, Y is called the codomain ng ating function. Okay? So yun yung dalawang requirements. You have seen these requirements when you talk about functions in elementary algebra. That's the same thing. And then I guess there you have one efficient way of checking if a relation is a function. You had the vertical line test there. So those are handy tools. Okay. Now, another notation that will be of interest to us would be the image of a set. Okay. So we say na yung set F bracket A. So if we have a subset A of the domain, then F bracket A is the set of all images of elements of capital A. So sa ibig sabihin, ang laman niya ay mga Y na nanggagaling kay capital Y such that X comma Y is in F for some X in capital A. So ang F bracket A, kinukuha mo lang lahat ng images ng elements ni capital A. So ano yung mga function values ng mga elements ni capital A? Sila yung nasa image ni set A, denoted as F bracket A. Okay? Now, those are the things that we talked about yesterday. So now we'll continue on by starting at definition 14, which defines two important properties of a set. Okay, so in this definition, we will be assuming that we have a function f from a set x to a set y, and then we define two things. Number one is being onto or being surjective. Okay. Now, may dadagdag pa akong isang term. This is something that is not so widely used, pero feeling ko mas maganda siyang gamitin than being onto. Medyo weird sa akin yung paggamit ng onto kasi parang preposition siya. Tapos gagamitin natin siya as an adjective. So medyo off yung paggamit ng onto. And then yung surjective, it quite adequately describes the function. Adjective siya. Pero medyo it's a mouthful yung pagiging surject or pagsasabi na siya ay surjective. Sometimes I call onto surjective functions an epic function. Okay? So three terms meaning the same thing. Epic, onto, at saka surjective. Sabi niya lang ang range ni function ay equal dun sa codomain. If all elements of the codomain have a pre-image, then we say that the function is epic, onto, or surjective. Okay? So, or more technically, a function is epic if and only if every element of the codomain, or for every element of the codomain, there exists an element of the domain such that f of x is equal to y. Alright? So, ibig sabihin, lahat naman ng element ni codomain ay nagamit as a second component. Alright? Yun yung ibig sabihin ng pagiging epic. And a quick way to check it is look at the range of your function. If the range of your function is the codomain, then it is epic. Alright? Now, the second thing is being one-to-one or being injective. Another term I'm using for this is monic. Okay? So a function is monic, one-to-one or injective, if and only if for all x1 comma x2 in x, if f of x1 is equal to f of x2, then x1 is equal to x2. So ang gist naman ng definition ng pagiging monic, um, no two ordered pairs have the same second component. All right? So bawal naman na magkaroon ka ng dalawang ordered pairs na parehas yung second component. Kasi kung parehas yung second components, yung pagiging monic will require their first components to be equal. All right? So ibig sabihin, bawal makakita ng dalawang ordered pairs na merong parehas na second component. Or in other words, if your x's are not equal to each other, then their function values must not be equal to each other. So yun yung pagiging one-to-one, injective, or pagiging monic ng isang function. Alright? So parang nag-add tayo dito ng mga requirements. Parang pinapaliit natin yung class of functions that we're talking about kasi yung pagiging epic at pagiging monic, they give very nice properties for our function. Okay? But just to freshen up your memories, I think sa elementary algebra, there is a nice way to check being monic or being one-to-one. Does anyone remember? Ano yung pang-check natin dati para siya ay, para masabi na isang monic ang isang function? Especially if you know the graph of the function. How do we know that the function is monic? By just looking at its graph. Do you guys remember? Volunteers? Yes, Mitzi?
Sir, hula lang po. Parang pareho pong vertical line test saka horizontal po.
Okay, that's good, Mitzi. Yung vertical line test nga lang, thank you, Adrian. Yung vertical line test ay test para makita kung siya ay function o hindi. Alright? So, for instance, vertical line test, halimbawa meron akong graph dito. Siya yung ellipse yung itsura. Gusto ko circle pero yeah, kunwari circle siya. Okay? So, ang equation ng circle ay x squared plus y squared equals 1, say the unit circle, right? So, if you will subject this to the vertical line test, it will fail the vertical line test because the vertical line that I just drew will intersect the graph in 2 points, all right? So, this will tell us na etong x value dito ay na-mapped sa dalawang y values na magkaiba. So yung vertical line test is a test that we employ to check if if a relation is a function. If it fails, then it is not a function. So nakita natin dito, hindi function yung relation defined by x squared plus y squared equals 1 kasi itong isang x value na to, na ma-map siya sa dalawang magkaibang y values. And sabi natin sa function, no two ordered pairs must have the same first component. So dito meron akong x comma y1 at saka x comma y2 dun sa relation. So ibig sabihin, hindi siya function. Yun yung sinasabi ng vertical line test. So, tama yung second answer ni Mitzi na horizontal line test yung pang-check kung siya ay monic. Alright? Kasi pag tumingin tayo nag-draw ako ng horizontal line dyan, clearly, this relation will fail the horizontal line test kasi dito nakakita ko ng isang y value, alright, na na-mapped sa dalawang x values. Alright? Eh sabi natin para maging monic, dapat once lang nag-appear yung mga elements ng codomain as a second component. But here we are, we see that x1 comma y and x2 comma y are both in the relation. So nakakita tayo ng dalawang ordered pairs na parehas yung second components. So ibig sabihin hindi na siya monic. Okay, so yung vertical line test para maging function or hindi, yung horizontal line test, pang-test siya kung monic or one-to-one ba yung function natin. Right? So let's look at some quick examples. All right. So let's consider f of x equals x squared. Okay? So what is the range of f of x equals x squared? Dito na lang sa tabi para walang spoiler. Okay. So if we consider the function f from R to R, all right, where x is mapped to x squared, What is the range of this function f? Do you guys remember? Kung input ko ay real number, ano yung mga posibleng outputs galing kay x squared? Yes, Mary Rose?
Sir, is it from 0 to positive infinity po?
Okay, great. Thank you. So that's our range. This is from 0, 0 is included, until positive infinity. Kasi kinolekta lang natin yung mga posibleng second component, right? So pag kumuha ko ng isang real number, pag in-square ko siya, ang nakukuha ko lagi ay non-negative number. And I will be able to get all non-negative real numbers. All right? So kaya ito yung itsura ng range niya. So that being said, can we say that this function is epic? Epic ba yung function the way it was defined? Okay, go ahead, Mitzi. Dahil walang ibang nag-volunteer.
Sir, hindi po siya epic.
Okay, bakit? Ano dapat yung requirement para maging epic siya?
Kailangan po, same po yung codomain saka yung range po. Dito po, hindi po.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mitzi. That's correct. Just a caveat, ang pag-check ng epic ay nakadepende kung ano yung dineclare na codomain. All right? So here, I declare the codomain to be the set of real numbers. All right? So, pero nung chinek nga natin, sabi nga ni Mitzi, yung range ay kakaiba mula dun sa codomain. So we say that this function is not epic from R to R. Not epic from R to R. Pero once I change the codomain, all right, pwede kong paliitan yung codomain. Pag ginawa ko yung codomain ay 0 to positive infinity, then I can say that this function is now epic. All right? Kasi yung range kaparehas na nung codomain. Kasi pwede kong yung codomain pwede yung palakihin ng palakihin kasi dapat superset siya nung range. Right? Sila yung mga candidates para maging second component. But if you limit down the codomain and let it coincide with the range, then magiging epic na yung function. Pero yun nga, medyo subjective yung pag-check ng pagiging epic. Kasi para maging epic, titingnan nyo yung codomain na dineclare, and that could be declared out of whim or out of our convenience, all right? We can make it as big a set as possible to cover all possible cases. But if you were able to limit down the codomain to the range, then your function will become epic, all right? So now, next question. Is this function, is the quadratic function x squared, a monic function from R to R? So hindi na siya epic. Monic ba siya? So, meaning ano nga yung pagiging monic? Dapat no two ordered pairs have the same second component. So, if you have a hunch that this is not monic, then one way to prove it is to give me two ordered pairs that will have the same second component. Alright? So, yun yung isang paraan pag-prove na hindi siya monic. Kung ipoprove nyo na siya ay monic, kung hinala nyo na monic siya, then ito yung gagawin yung proof. Assume that f of x1 is equal to f of x2, then show that x1 is equal to x2. Or you can prove the contrapositive. Assume that x1 is not equal to x2 and show that x1 cannot be equal, f of x1 cannot be equal to f of x2. So yun yung dalawa yung option. Kailangan magkaroon muna kayo ng hinala o ng hula. Siya ba ay monic o hindi? Kasi kung monic siya, ito yung kailangan nyo gawin. You need to prove these two things or one of these two things. Equivalent sila sa isa't isa. So you pick your poison there. Now, kung meron kayong hinala na hindi naman siya monic, magbigay lang kayo ng counterexample. That would be fine. Give me two ordered pairs that have the same second component. So in this case, for the case of x squared, do you think this is monic or not? And it will be great if you can provide me a counterexample. Yes, Rhea?
Hindi po monic.
Okay, hindi siya monic. Do you have a counterexample in mind?
1, 1, -1, and 1 po.
Okay, great. 1, 1, and 1 comma, -1 comma 1 are both in the relation f. All right? Kasi yung 1 squared ay equal kay 1. Yung -1 quantity squared ay equal rin kay 1. and Rhea is right. Here we find two ordered pairs having the same second component. And that's a no-no para maging monic. Right? So we say this is not monic. Okay. The thing about pagiging monic or pagiging injective ay hindi siya nakadepende dun sa declaration ng codomain. Okay? So itetest talaga natin kung lahat ba ng elements ng range ay once lang nag-appear sa ating function. All right? So hindi siya katulad ng epic na pwede mong baguhin yung test. Nababago yung test depende kung ano yung dineclare na codomain. Sa pagiging monic, it's straightforward. Doesn't matter what the codomain is kasi titingnan mo lang meron bang element ng range na nag-occur more than once sa function. Okay? So I hope that's clear ang pagiging monic at pagiging epic. Now, let's try to prove one thing here. Definition 16. If the quadratic function, the basic quadratic function x squared is neither monic nor epic, yung linear function naman, any linear function, ax plus b, where a is non-zero, is monic and epic in R. All right, so siya ay isang monic at epic function from R to R. And let's try to prove it. Okay, so here we want to prove that any linear function f from R to R, where an element x is mapped to ax plus b, where a is non-zero, is monic and epic. Ito yung gusto nating ipakita. All right? Oh, by the way, why do I need to put the restriction that a is not equal to 0? What would be the problem if I will allow a to be equal to 0? Yes, Mary Rose?
Sir, magiging constant na lang po kasi yung function if ever na 0 yung a.
Okay, thank you. That's right. Kasi kapag kasi a ay nag-0, so mawawala to. So lahat ng x, lahat ng real number x, mamamap lamang sa constant na b. All right? And that would be a problem kasi epic ba ang constant function? Anyone? What do you think? Is the constant function monic and epic? From R to R? Bakit ko in-exclude? Meron kasing something will be wrong if I will just have the constant function here in my statement. Kaya merong restriction na a cannot be equal to 0. Yes, thank you. Esther is right. Hindi siya epic kasi isa lang yung element ng range, okay? Kasi kung constant function siya, lahat ng real number na ma-map lamang kay constant b. So yung range niya ay magiging singleton lamang. Isa lang yung laman ng range niya, so hindi siya epic. Now, monic ba siya? Kita ko nagtaas si Mitzi kanina. What do you think? Magiging monic ba siya?
Hindi rin po.
Okay, thank you. Hindi rin siya magiging monic. Yun din yung sabi ni Victor sa chat. Bakit hindi siya magiging monic? One quick check is that, oh yes, Victor?
Ano, sir? It will fail the horizontal line test.
Exactly. Kasi ano ba yung graph ng isang constant function? Ang graph ng isang constant function ay isa lamang horizontal line, tama? And definitely, it will fail the horizontal line test kasi pag nag-drawing ako ng isang horizontal line along y equals b, it will intersect the graph of the function in infinitely many points, which is a no-no para sa pagiging monic. All right? Or makakakita tayo ng dalawang ordered pairs na parehas yung second component. For instance, 1, b is in F as well as 2, b. So si b na ulit as a second component, so that means it is not monic. So yung mga Mga constant functions, hindi sila monic nor hindi sila epic from R to R. Pero once A is not equal to 0, then we are sure that the function that we get is both monic and epic. All right? So let's try to write the proof. Okay? So unahin natin yung pagiging monic. So sa pagiging monic, meron tayong dalawang statements na pwedeng gamitin. All right? So I'll use the first statement that if f of x1 is equal to f of x2, then x1 must be equal to x2. Nanggaling dun sa definition ng pagiging monic. So now I will let x1 and x2 be elements of the domain such that f of x1 is equal to f of x2. And again, here, we want to show that x1 is equal to x2. Ito yung gusto nating ipakita from the assumption that f of x1 is equal to f of x2. All right? Now, magsimula kayo lagi sa equation na ito. Yes, Mitzi?
Sir, ask ko lang po yung sa domain po, hindi po ba dapat yung real number, iset ng real numbers po yung isulat?
Great, thank you. Tinetest ko lang kayo kung nakikinig kayo. Joke lang. Thank you, Mitzi, for reminding me. Yeah, pwede ko nang isulat yung domain doon. R nga pala yung dineclare ko na domain. Thanks. So we'll be taking any real number. Okay. Now, ano yung ibig sabihin ng f of x1? Now, ibig sabihin si x1, ipa-plug in ko lang dun sa rule or formula para makuha yung images. We said that every element x of the domain will be mapped to ax plus b. So, ang f of x ay equal kay ax plus b. So, para makuha si f of x1, papalitan ko lamang yung mga x's dito by x1. So, f of x1 is equal to ax1 plus b, right? Similarly, to get f of x2, I will just plug in x2 for x's here. I see in the assigned value. So I'll get ax2 plus b. All right? And again, don't forget what's our goal. Our goal is to show that x1 is equal to x2. All right? And that could be easily done. First, we can subtract b from both sides of the equation by the addition property of equality. And that will give us ax1 plus ax2. All right? And then finally, I can just divide both sides by a. All right? And this is where our assumption about a will come in handy. All right? So pwede ako mag-divide both sides by a because I know a is non-zero. Okay, so dito pa lang, kung nakalimutan nyo yung requirement kanina that a cannot be equal to 0, makikita nyo na, yung proof natin, hindi siya mag-work kapag si a ay equal kay 0. Because the next thing that I'm gonna do is to divide both sides by a para cancel yung a, matira si x1 equals x2. Pero I can only do that if I know that a is non-zero. And thankfully, we have conveniently put that into our assumptions here. Sabi natin, ang assumption natin kasi alam na natin na yung mga constant functions ay hindi monic. And the proof will bear that na hindi mag-a-apply yung proof na sinulat natin para sa horizontal functions or para sa constant functions kasi nga yung proof niya gagamit ng division by a, which we cannot do if a is not equal to 0. All right? So from here we can say that this implies x1 is equal to x2 since a is non-zero. Okay, so we have shown that if f of x1 is equal to f of x2, then x1 is equal to x2. So therefore we say that f is injective or monic or one-to-one. Okay, so you pick which term you want to use. From time to time, I'm going to shift from calling it being monic, calling it being one-to-one, calling it being injective, para masanay tayo din sa mga terminologies. Okay? So, any questions with the proof? I guess it's pretty straightforward. Madali lang naman tandaan kung saan ka mag-start at ano yung gusto mong ipakita. The challenge is to build up the middle arguments. All right? Now sa pagiging epic. Now sa pagiging epic, kailangan nating ipakita yung range niya. Pero usually, theoretically, it's hard to solve for the range or prove that indeed the range of a function is the given set. Dito hindi na natin usually hindi namin tatanggapin yung proof na since the range of the function is R, then it is this is epic. Though yun talaga yung definition, but you really need to prove that the range is equal to R. Okay? So kailangan nating ipakita na yung range talaga ay R. Sa algebra kasi, pinagko-compute lang kayo ng range or kinukuha nyo lang yung range, paano nga ba? By observation lang. Tama, ino-observe nyo yung graph, tinitingnan nyo ano yung mga y values na nadadaanan ng graph. Sa Math 101, hindi na siya magiging sufficient because you need to write a proof, right? Or a formal proof to show that indeed the range is equal to the codomain. So yung gagawin natin, babalik tayo dun sa definition ng pagiging epic. So sabi natin, ang isang function ay epic or surjective if lahat ng elements ng codomain ay image ng isang element ng domain. So we want to show that for every element y of the codomain, we can find an element x of the domain such that f of x is equal to y. Right? So ibig sabihin, kukuha tayo ng isang element ni codomain, ipapakita ko na merong pre-image yung codomain, yung element ni codomain na yon. Meaning we can find an x in the domain whose image under f is equal to y. Okay? And usually it will entail a preliminary analysis para malaman natin ano dapat yung kapartner, ano yung pre-image ng isang arbitrary element ng codomain. Right? And usually we do the preliminary analysis on a scratch paper. We don't show it in the formal proof. Or actually you can, pwede yung sabihin, maglagay kayo dyan ng PA, preliminary analysis, you write the solutions there, and it should be fine. Pero sometimes di na natin siya sinusulat, so you could do this in a scratch paper. So hindi ko na rin hanapan yung preliminary analysis dun sa solution nyo. Okay? Sige, sulat natin yung preliminary analysis. So sa prelim analysis, I will assume that y is an element of the codomain. Ang codomain ko dito ay R. Ang goal dito ay hanapan ng pre-image si y. Sino yung kapartner niya na x? Alright? So nag-start ako sa isang arbitrary element ng codomain. And we want to find an element of the domain such that y is equal to f of x. Alright? So yun yung gusto nating hanapin. Find x para dun sa arbitrary y. Para ma-prove natin na may nag-exist na x para sa lahat ng y. Alright? So now, but I know that f of x is equal to ax plus b. And remember here, I am looking for the value of x. Ano dapat yung value ni x para makuha ko yung y equals f of x. So parang working in backwards ako dito pag solve ng x. Alright? So subtract b from both sides will give us y minus b equals ax. And then to find x, I will just divide both sides by a and see that x should be y minus b all over a. And here, we have shown na pag binigyan ko kayo ng element ni codomain, mapapakita natin na merong element ng domain ng f of x ay equal kay y. We will just choose x to be y minus b all over a. Right? And you will see bakit magpe-fail itong proof na to para sa mga constant functions. Kasi again, involved na naman yung division by a. Alright? So kaya hindi talaga mag-work yung proof na to para makover yung case ng mga constant functions. Kasi nga, may division na naman by a na required. Alright? So let's see. So tandaan nyo, ang x ay y minus b all over a. Right? But before I before I release my hold here, questions dun sa preliminary analysis? I hope it's okay. So nag-consider lang ako ng isang random element ng codomain, pinakita ko na may nag-exist na element ni domain. All right? Now we're done with the prelim analysis. You don't need to include this in your proof, all right? So dun sa actual proof, I will work backwards. Okay. Now, to prove pagiging epic, I will consider a random element of the codomain, right? Ang codomain natin ay R din, right? And then note that since A is non-zero, then si x equals y minus b over a ay isang well-defined real number. Alright? So, kasi ito naman yung value na nakuha natin dun sa preliminary analysis. Gusto kasing mapalabas na si y ay equal sa f of x or f of something. And from the prelim analysis, we knew that that something should be y minus b all over a. Okay? So, siya ay real number. Actually, pwede ko siyang tawaging x, pwede ko siyang di tawaging x. And then moreover, so parang kabaligtaran lang talaga siya ng prelim analysis. Ipa-plug in ko tong y minus b over a kasi ang gusto nating ipakita may nag-exist na x. Ang claim natin dito, yung x na appropriate para kay y ay y minus b all over a. So what I'm going to do is to plug in y minus b all over a into the formula for the function f, all right? And then this will give us a times whatever the x value is plus b. All right? Yan yung function value ni y minus b all over a. And then I'll perform the simplification. Oh, there's an a here. There's an a here. They will cancel each other out, leaving us with y minus b plus b. Oops, negative b plus b. That will just be 0. So, equal lang siya kay y. So, ano napakita natin ngayon? Si y ay isang image ng element ng domain. Namely, y minus b all over a. So, ang function value ni y minus b all over a ay equal kay y. So, therefore, we can say that f is epic. Or surjective. Or equivalently, you can say that f is onto r. So, yan yung mga possible terminologies na gagamitin nyo. And I think we can end our proof there. Kasi napakita na natin na siya ay epic at saka monic. All right. Again, I'm going to shift from calling functions like this as epic, surjective, or onto. So para masanay tayo din sa mga terminologies. Okay, any questions? Wala naman tanong? Okay, in the work text, there are several more examples. For instance, e to the power x, the exponential function, can easily be shown to be one-to-one, but not onto. All right. Yung proof ng pagiging monic niya is similar to what we did. Assume that h of x1 is equal to h of x2 and show that x1 is equal to x2. Makikita nyo yung middle argument dito is just a play on loss of logarithms and loss of exponents. So that should be a fun review of algebra. Okay. Pero hindi siya onto. Okay. Kasi ano ang range ng exponential? So, ang range ng exponential ay set of all positive real numbers. All right? So, pwede nyo sabihin na walang x such that e to the x is equal to -1 because we know e to the power x is greater than 0 for any real number x. Right? So, wala tayong makukuhang pre-image ni -1 which belongs to the codomain declared. Dahil ang dineclare na codomain ay si R, masasabi natin na hindi epic o hindi onto R ang exponential function. But again, you could be selective with the codomain. You can just declare the codomain to be the open interval 0 to positive infinity. And in that way, the exponential function will be both monic and epic. All right? Siya isang function onto the set of all positive real numbers. Okay? Now, these are some things that you can try for yourselves. Show that the identity function is both one-to-one and onto. All right? So, pareha siyang medyo cringy para sa akin talaga yung paggamit ng onto as an adjective. Though, some books really use that, yung onto as an adjective. Pero, parang, hindi ko alam, parang hindi ako comfortable gamitin yung term. So, usually ginagamit ko yung onto kapag gusto kong i-emphasize yung codomain. So, sometimes I'm gonna say that the identity function is 1-to-1 and onto x. Parang gano'n. Lagi siyang may object. Kasi preposition, lagi kong iniisip na preposition yung onto. Pero some books really use onto. Some math books really use onto as an adjective. Alright? Kaya medyo biased ako dun sa paggamit ng epic at sa paggamit ng surjective rather than onto. Again, yung onto ginagamit ko kapag gusto kong i-emphasize yung codomain. Alright? Now, let's look at example 19. And it wants us to check if sine x is 1-to-1 and onto. Alright? So what do you think, guys? First, is it monic? Or is it injective? Or is it 1-to-1? Though pare-parehas lang yung ibig sabihin ng tatlong tanong na yon, no? So what do you think? Is the function sine x 1-to-1? The domain here is R, the codomain is R. So monic ba yung sine x? Okay, Mitzi says it's not. It's not monic. Yeah, that's right. Paano mo nasabi na hindi siya monic? Pwedeng via horizontal line test, di ba? Tandaan niyo ba yung graph ng sine? Yung graph ng sine ay isang wave like this. Draw a horizontal line, it will intersect the graph in more than one point. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya monic. If you want to write a formal proof, well, unfortunately, I don't, avoid using the graph kasi kailangan nyo pang i-prove na yun talaga yung graph ng function na yun. Alright? So the more concrete proof that this is not monic is to give two ordered pairs sharing the same second component. Halimbawa, pwede nyo sabihin si 0 at saka si 0 ay na kay J. Alright? Kasi ang sign ng 0 ay equal kay 0. However, ang sign ni 2 pi ay 0 din. Alright? Sign of 2 pi is also 0. So here we have found two ordered pairs sharing the same second component. Alright? Dahil naulit si 0 sa pagiging second component, so we can say J is not injective. Alright? Now, next question. Is the sine function onto R? Parang kakaiba ngayon, no? Kung konti ang nagvo-volunteer dati, pauna-unahan kayo. Yes, Gad. Onto R ba yung sine x? Hi, Gad. Are you trying to speak? Sorry, Gad, hindi ko marinig. So, baka may problema yung connection ko. You can type in your answer in the chat na lang. Ayan, unahan ka ni Victor. Yes, Gad. Let's try one more time. Yeah, sorry, Gad. I really can't hear you. Yeah, you can type in your answer in the chat, but Victor is right. This is not onto. Bakit hindi siya onto R? Yes, Mitzi?
Sir, kasi po, di ba po yung yung sa sign po na, ano yun? Yung sa sign po na graph, meron po siyang maximum values which is yung amplitude po niya. So, hindi po niya mako-cover yung buong, R po.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, kasi medyo limited yung range ng sine x. Victor, check your range. Hindi yun yung range, alright? So, review trig kung ano nga ba yung range ng sine function. Na ang range ng sine function ay negative 1 to 1. All right? Because if you draw the graph of the sine function, Mitzi talk about the amplitude of the sine function. So minimum value niya ay negative 1, ang maximum value niya ay positive 1, all right? So ibig sabihin, all the y values are from 1, negative 1 to 1. So at least we can identify a real number na walang pre-image, all right? For instance, 10. We cannot find any element of the domain or any real number such that sine x is equal to 10. Kasi ang value ni sine x ay naka-restrict lamang from negative 1 to 1. So definitely, J is not onto R. Or you can say it is not surjective, or it's not it's not epic. All right. Yeah, it's okay, Victor. Ganyan din ako ngayon. Hindi lang masyadong halata, pero half awake pa rin. All right. So, yeah, that's it. Okay. Now, yung pagiging epic at pagiging monic is a very nice property of functions. That's why a function that is both monic and epic is called or is said to be bijective. All right. So kapag ka siya ay parehas onto at saka parehas one-to-one, ang adjective natin para doon ay bijective. Okay? So we say that the function is bijective if it is monic and epic at the same time. All right? Now the noun is bijection or one-to-one correspondence. We say a function is a bijection or it's a one-to-one correspondence if it is both a one-to-one function and an onto function. Okay? So ang tawag ay bijective. So quick examples that we can remember from our earlier discussions. Ang quadratic function ay hindi bijective kasi hindi siya injective. Now, ang identity function at saka linear functions ay parehas bijections because they are both monic and epic at the same time. And then by our discussion just a while ago, we can say that the sine function is not bijective because apparently it is not one-to-one and onto. Pero we can modify the definition of the function a little bit para masabi natin na yung sine function ay magiging isang bijection. All right? What I'm saying is you can answer exercise 22 this way. So we can consider the function, say, j. Minodify na natin yung j, no? J na yung tawag sa kanya kanina. So let's call it n. The function n, let's define it to have domain, say, let's say negative pi to pi. All right, negative pi to pi. Okay. And then it's a function from negative pi to pi to negative 1 to 1. All right. And then do you think this will qualify as a one-to-one function? So here we have n of x is equal to sine x. Is it now a bijection? Kailangan yung i-check kasi katulad ako ni Victor, medyo half awake pa rin even if paubos ko na yung first cup of coffee ko for the day. So do you think the sine function defined this way will be bijective now? I mean, will it be both injective and surjective? Well, una, injective na siya. Injective ba siya kung ang x values lamang ay from negative pi to pi? Tama ba? I think so, right? Sine of negative pi is negative 1, and then sine of pi is positive 1. So we are just on the first and the fourth quadrant. So kung natatandaan nyo yung unit circle, ito lang siya. Alright? Tapos ang y values natin, ang sine ay mga y values. So walang y values na ulit more than once. So I think it is injective now. Tapos, ang values niya, ang possible values ni sin x on the interval negative pi to pi ay from negative 1 to 1 pa rin. So the range is negative 1 to 1, and that is exactly the codomain I declared. Yes, Mary Rose, you want to share something?
Sir, ang sin pi po is 0. Bale, parang hindi ko po siya mapakita. Pero ang sinasabi niyo po siguro na from negative 1 to 1 is negative pi over 2 hanggang pi over 2 po.
Okay, great, Mary Rose. That's a nice catch, all right? So sabi ko sa inyo, half awake pa ako eh. So there should be negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. All right. So kasi nga yung drawing ko ng unit circle kanina, nag-start dapat sa negative pi over 2 until pi over 2. Thank you, Mary Rose, for the correction. Okay, there we go. So now I think this is fine. Kasi tama nga naman, hindi siya magiging epic from negative pi to pi kasi ang sign ng pi at saka sign ng negative pi ay parehas equal kay 0. But if I change the domain to negative pi over 2 until pi over 2, then this will now be injective. All right? Kasi wala nang second component na naulit. Kaya pala weird yung pagkakasulat ko kanina nung pi, ng negative pi to pi. All right? So yeah, it should be negative pi over 2 until pi over 2. Okay? Now let me see. Okay, so okay, maybe I'll stop here. Kasi yung susunod na discussion ay inverse functions na, F inverse. Utang sana ako ng natitirang mga minuto, pero that will only allow me to discuss the definition of inverse functions at most. So again, since we are nearing the end of the semester, I'm going to ask your lab instructors on Monday to discuss the remainder of this module. This module will run until page 54 of the second volume of the work text. So there's still two main topics left, yung inverse functions at saka composite functions. So I'll ask your lab instructors to discuss it for you guys on Monday. Okay. Tapos we still have two problem sets remaining. So I guess we will schedule that for the last 2 weeks of classes. Let me see. So sa December 6, sige, pahinga muna kayo. Discussion muna sa lab netong natitira sa module, okay? And then meron ba kayong worksheet due on December 6? Check ko na lang sa Canvas, pero I will propose that gawin na lang nating optional yung paggagawa ng worksheets. Okay lang ba 'yon? Ika-cancel ko na yung submission ng mga worksheets sa Canvas para makapag-focus kayo sa discussions on the labs. So starting from Monday, you will not be required to submit worksheets. If you want to still submit worksheets, then you can forward them to your lab instructors via email na lang. Kasi sa Canvas, pag hindi kayo nagpasa, automatic 0 yung ilalagay niya. All right? Or hold on. Pwede ko palang palitan yung deadline. Gawin kong end na ng SEM. Pero pagka ang deadline niya ay December 21 na worksheet, o kung meron kang worksheet kay Canvas na deadline ay December 21, ibig sabihin hindi siya required ipasa. Okay? Hindi, sige, gawin ko January 15 yung deadline. So pag meron tayong deadline sa worksheet, meron tayong deadline ng worksheet sa Canvas na January 15, ibig sabihin optional yung submission. Pwede kayo mag-submit pero hindi kayo mazizero pag hindi kayo nag-submit. Okay? So para hindi kayo masyadong ma-burden, kasi right after December 6, so on December 13th and December 20th, we will have the remaining two worksheets, remaining two problem sets respectively. So yung problem set natin for functions ay magiging December 13 to December 15th. And then the problem set for all those that we will discuss after functions will be from December 20 until December 21, which is the last day of classes. But I am inclined to allow you to submit until bago kayo mag Noche Buena on the 24th, pwede kayo mag-submit ng problem set number 4. All right? But if you want to take care of everything before you go on the holiday break, so pwede nyo siyang isubmit by November 21. Lalagyan ko lang siya ng buffer para kung di nyo siya matapos ng 21 at willing naman kayo magtrabaho, ayaw nyo munang isubmit ng hindi tapos. So, pwede kayong mag-extend hanggang sa 24, right? But I'll see to it that it is doable for 2 or 3 days. So, 20 to 22, pero technically dapat 21, wala na, yun na yung last day for class activities. Pero, yeah, to give you more time, pwedeng hanggang December 24. All right? Now, I think that's it. Any questions, guys? Yes, may tanong si Esther kung magka-class pa po ba tayo hanggang 17? Yes, susulitin natin yung SEM. Actually, I might even hold classes on the 21st. Kasi yun yung last day of classes. So, pero yung nasa 21, yung i-discuss ko ng 21 ay hindi nakasama, of course, sa problem set. Pero para at least matapos natin yung buong coverage ng Math 101. Okay? Any other questions or concerns? Yes, Mary Rose?
Sir, mag-a-ask lang po ako if may other final requirement or something pa po.
Yes.
Or wala naman na po.
Yes,
Ay.
meron tayong isang final assessment which has the same weight as one problem set. So 19% din yon. So ang deadline niya na ay sa finals week. So pag-iisipan ko habang nakabakasyon ako ngayong weekend kung ano yung ipapagawa naming final project for you or final output, final assessment. I will give the guidelines siguro December 15th at the latest. Tapos, doable naman siya probably in 2 or 3 days. Okay? Pero ang deadline niya na ay sa pagbalik na natin ng January. So kung ano yung deadline ng registrar for the final exam in Math 101, doon yung deadline ng final assessment. Okay? So yun yung magiging replacement natin ng final exam. So this is an individual project. So yung guidelines will be on December 15th. All right? So yeah, individual project na lang din siya. And that is still a big chunk kasi 19% siya. Equivalent siya sa isang problem set. Okay? Pero January nyo na siya isipin. Pero ibibigay ko na yung guidelines sa December 15 para mapagandaan nyo siya or pwede nyo siyang gawin along the way. Para pwede talagang makagraduate na kayo sa 101 by December 21. Okay, pag napasa nyo na lahat, it will take me a couple of days to finish grading everything. Tapos makikita nyo na yung final grade nyo kay Canvas. Okay? Other concerns? I hope that's fine. We are wrapping the semester up na. Actually, I enjoyed this class very much. So, kaya kailangan nating sulitin yung natitira nating ilan? Dalawa at 2 weeks and change. So, yeah. Okay, so if there are no more questions, guys, so thank you for coming today. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and let's see each other again. Ano nga ba ngayon? Thursday? Nakalive ako ng Tuesday. So let's see each other again on Thursday next week or kung attend kayo ng Section H meeting Wednesday next week. All right, bye guys. Oh, by the way, those who recited, kindly comment your nicknames on the chat. Ang dami ko nang hindi natatali na recitation, but I'll try to find some time to do that. All right, bye guys.
Bye, sir. Thank you po.